Hi, I'm Mike Sibley, leader of the James Moore Manufacturing Team. On this episode of More on Manufacturing, we're joined by Jim Carnall, President and Chief Operating Officer of Command Medical Products. Command offers medical device contract manufacturing services for the production of single-use disposable medical devices with core competencies that include extrusion of medical tubing, RF welding, assembly, and packaging services. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the unique management approach that Jim has implemented over the years at Command, which has really helped propel them to substantial growth and success over the past decade, not only from their ability to serve their customers, but they've got a great management group. I think they've all bought into everything that Command is doing. It's got a great culture. So there's a lot of pieces that has made Command successful. And I thought I really wanted Jim to come on and share some of the practices and some of the things they do. I feel like this will be a great value to many manufacturers. So Jim, welcome. I really appreciate you being on here.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So Jim, if you could just a little bit, just talk about maybe some of the successes you've had with the company over the past 10 years or so, to give a little flavor and background before we kind of jump into some of the management practices.
Yeah. So, I think we've a little bit more than tripled in size over the past 9 years. I've been here maybe 13, 14 years, but the kind of the journey started about 9 years ago. And I say that success, you said unique, and I think, it may be unique in that, it's hard to put all the pieces together, but nothing we're doing is unique. We've borrowed or stolen or learned a lot from what other people have done, and tried to put it together in a way that works for us. So I said it started about 9 years ago from I guess there's two pieces of this. One is kind of the operational side, the infrastructure and all that, and then the second piece is really the people side, how we operate together. But probably about 9 years ago, I was actually at a VMA meeting, and I was listening to Mark Andrews, who used to be at Hudson at that time, talk about strategic planning, and we didn't have one. So we were fortunate that Mark was willing to work with us and help us figure out how to get a strategic plan, which is kind of based on the Rockefeller Habits, the Vern Harnish book, and it gets into having a big, hairy, audacious goal, 5, 10 years out that you strive to. It shouldn't be easy. And, it also talks about core values. And so we had to sit down and make sure we understood what our core values were, or at least what we aspired them to be. Also gets into, having annual goals. What are you going to do this year? It gets into quarterly goals, which we call rocks, things that are most important to do in this particular quarter to help us achieve the goals and or the BHAG. Having key performance indicators. Another part of it is rhythm. Again, nothing of what I'm saying is new or different, but you got to have a rhythm too. So, part of that rhythm is, as a leadership team, we have an 8:05 call every morning. Lasts maybe 10 minutes. There's probably, some personal stuff that goes on. And somebody did something last night, or, just something to share with the team. So we're connecting personally. But then it's also, what do we need from each other that particular day to help each other achieve, what we need to achieve. We have weekly staff meetings with the kids, a little more in depth into whatever is the most important, or what do we need to talk about as a team to help the organization improve. We have monthly all company meetings. We just had one yesterday. It was actually a big Halloween party. We had Elvis there singing and Britney dancing.
Were you Elvis?
I was actually a pharaoh, but that's a whole nother story.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll have drinks over that one, I guess.
Yeah. But we have the monthly meetings where we do a lot of recognition, and just sharing what's going on with the company with everybody. We also do quarterly performance sharing or profit sharing. So, we get to talk about that as well. And then we do quarterly strategic planning meetings. We go off site for 2 days. We probably spend the first half a day talking about the last quarter. Did we do what we said we're going to do? Did we achieve the rocks?
Hmm.
And then we spend the next day and a half talking about, okay, what do we need to do going forward? Getting ready for the next quarter. And we actually, on the second half of the second day, bring in the next level of leadership to share with them what we need to do and how they can help support and implement it.
So you mentioned, let me interrupt for a second. So you've mentioned leadership, and then kind of the second, you've got your. Can you talk about your management structure a little bit? Because you do have the C team and the M team, and I find that kind of interesting how you've set that up. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the C team kind of got set up when we started looking at us, the people side, us. We actually brought in somebody locally, Bo Brewer, who some of the listeners may know, but he came, from Southwest Airlines, and it was important getting somebody from the outside to come in and help us see reality sometimes. Somebody that could call us out and help us point us in the right direction. But at that point in time, we kind of named, or he named us the C team, kind of for Command Medical Products. So we were the C of Command.
Okay.
And then further, and so, that's all my direct reports, finance, quality, sales and marketing, engineering, supply chain, HR, et cetera. And there's
Hmm.
about eight of those, including Carlos, who's our plant manager in Nicaragua.
Okay.
And so we started working on ourselves. I'll come back to that in a minute. But we also then said, well, we need to get the next level leadership involved. We can't do it all. So we named them the M team for medical. We haven't gotten to the P team. That might be good.
Right.
But they're the ones we bring in on the second day, to help get their thoughts, but also get their buy-in, so they can help us implement stuff.
So you talked about transparency quite a bit, and is that all part of? I mean, I know I've toured. You've got video up on, you've got the screens up with all the data, and I know you share a lot, as you mentioned in these various meetings. You have an M team, a C team, and transparency seems to be really important part of the culture for Command.
Yeah, it is. When I first came here, we had those monthly meetings, but it was very superficial. And I think part of the thinking was that people may not understand if say revenue was $1 million last month.
Right.
They think that we're putting $1 million in our pocket. So we had to do some education. But my style was more like the more people understand, the more they see how they can contribute and they fit and what the issues are. We share the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not always good, and we've had some years where we weren't growing at the rate we normally grow at. But you got to share that stuff openly and honestly, and it really kind of gets into one of the things that we've done as a leadership team is based on the trust pyramid. Patrick Lencioni, the five dysfunctions of a team. Where the bottom part of the pyramid is trust, and that's not necessarily trust in the way of you think about trust. It's more about trust in a vulnerable way, where you're comfortable being vulnerable with each other, and being open and honest. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. And we've had some folks on our team that weren't able to do that, and they're no longer on our team, because if you can't develop that open and honest relationship, and it doesn't really work for the rest of it. Because then the next step on the pyramid is the conflict, or constructive conflict, the way we like to do it. And you've kind of seen that happen.
Yeah, this is the perfect segue into, I mentioned unique, and you're right. Some of the things that you mentioned are things that companies do. Some of them not so well. Some of them try to do it. Some of them do it really well and are really holding accountable. I think accountability is part of your culture and trust. And yes, I've sat in on many meetings, and I think one of the most unique things that I've ever seen is the willingness of people to have dialogue and conflict. And I don't mean conflict in a bad way. I mean conflict in really holding each other accountable. They'll even hold you accountable or call out and question things that you're saying, and you'll do the same. And in my experience, nobody walks out of there, with their tail between their legs. They walk out of there with, this is the action item I need to do and look into. And maybe you could talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that is a big part of it. And again, that's why I say constructive conflict. If we're open and honest and people share their opinions, we usually end up in a better place. Somebody may even say something that sounds like a joke, but then we think about it and we talk about it. It's like, well, wait a minute, that's not a bad idea. But collectively, I mean, I don't have all the answers. And we have people that see things from different perspectives. I'm an engineer of data and facts. We got, other folks that are more sales and marketing, and we just think differently. Mm-hmm. And so it's good to get all of those different opinions and ideas on the table and, discuss them or have some passionate, I guess, discussions about them, but just openly share. And I think, it works because there's nobody on my team that does anything for personal gain, and everybody understands that. We may disagree, but it's what we really believe is in the best interest of the company, not what's in the best interest of that individual. And as you say, we actually sometimes we mine for conflict. So you can look around the room and you can see somebody doesn't agree. So you say, hey, you don't appear to agree with that. What are you thinking? So we don't let people just sit there and keep it in too. We got to get it all out, because we got to get to a decision, and which again is the next step on the pyramid, is commitment. Once everybody has had their say, whether we go in the direction they felt was best or not, at that point everybody says, okay, this is where we're going, and it's all of our jobs to go there. Whether it was, again, my idea or their idea, it doesn't matter. So we just move up the pyramid that way. But you got to have that open dialogue. And
I think one of the things that's interesting is that when, what I've been able to experience is oftentimes every business there's a challenge in a particular area. And what I've seen is no one, that person that may be in charge of that area, they're not on an island. Others are jumping in saying, what can I do to help? You're jumping in saying, so it's not about scolding or anything, it's about jumping in and helping.
Yeah, no, that's another good point. And again, that's one of the things you mentioned accountability earlier. There's 5 steps to the pyramid. Accountability is the 4th, and results is the 5th. When we started doing this again 9 years ago, we were red on 4 of the 5. We didn't do much of it well at all. But it was good to know that, because we could see where we needed to improve. And the one area that we've never been green in is accountability. And I think part of that is we trust each other, we like each other, we respect each other. It's hard sometimes to call somebody out from an accountability standpoint, but we continue to work on it. And it's one of the things that we're actually, worked on over the last few weeks is accountability and looking at it from a different perspective. But that's a tough one.
Well, and you mentioned, and this is what was interesting to me. You mentioned, you've had qualified, talented people in your team that couldn't handle that kind of constructive conflict in process and not make it, and have to be you got to find that person that fits.
Yeah, we had 2 people that come to mind. That one was very, very talented in a technical way, but he didn't work well with others. He just wanted to kind of be over in his corner doing his own thing, and didn't really like anybody suggesting he might be doing something wrong or could do something better. That didn't work out. And then the second one really just his whole career was, you don't be vulnerable, you don't share that you need help, you don't express any kind of weakness, because that's going to be used against you. And as much as we tried to explain that, not here, that if you don't ask for help when you need help, that's the problem. and just on the accountability stuff, it's not, everybody's not accountable to their particular area or silo. The bottom line is we got to get quality products out the door, and we all got to do what we need to do that, whether it's your area or responsibility or not. If you can help somebody, that's what you need to do, because ultimately our purpose here is to help enhance, sustain, and save lives with the medical products that we make that are then used by our customers. So, the bottom line is getting stuff out the door, and whatever we need to do as a team to do that, that's what we do.
How have you, obviously, like you said, you've had people come in from other companies that had different cultures, perhaps, and different ways of doing things. How do you first start out with somebody new into the management team to, one, get them to trust that this is explain it and get them to trust that, hey, just believe me, it's okay to be part of this?
Yeah, that's another good question. And we do this pyramid every January. So, invariably we have, one or two, and in some years we've actually had three new people. And we take a step back in the pyramid because, they're new here. They haven't really sort of bought in or understand the culture or the concepts yet. So we have to work with them, and part of it is they actually have to see it too. So they may be a little quiet at the beginning, but then they observe and they say, okay, I see how this goes. And as they're here for a while, they get to feel more comfortable, and then they start participating. And the ones that end up making it, kind of say, I've never been part of something like this before, and it's really kind of awesome when you get there. And I know you said recently, because you've started working with us closer over the past year, that you've observed it. We just think it's normal.
Right,
But
right.
certainly from the outside, when you see it the first time and you can see that constructive conflict, it's kind of like, holy crap, what's going on?
Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable at first, but then when you realize, look at what's being accomplished, it's like, wow, this is different. Oftentimes you just see people kind of come in and they go through their reports and they leave and that's it. So this is so different.
Yeah, no, you're right. And again, it's a journey, Mike, where we started it and we continually improve. There's times when we fall back, and usually somebody will say, hey, we're moving in the wrong direction, or we got to regroup here. And again, like I said, we're really working on accountability right now. So we keep trying to find ways to go to another level.
Hmm. Well, and I think you said something the other day. We were in a meeting, and you said some to the effect that we'll take challenges head on. We're not afraid of challenges, and I feel like this is the reason why you're not afraid of challenges. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to just have everything be easy and growing up, but there's no way to get around in business having challenges. But you guys are like, we're not afraid of them.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that sometimes, at one point in time we said, well, let's create a challenge because we work better when there's something something going on.
Right.
No, we didn't do that, but you're right. We seem to rally around challenges, and I think it's because if it's your area that's having the problem, you know you're not alone. It's
Hmm.
not people are pointing fingers at you and saying, hey, you need to fix this. It's, hey, we've got a problem, and what are we collectively going to do to solve that problem in the betterment of the company? So I think that's why where that goes so well when we have conflict.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and I appreciate you sharing all this. I mean, to me, you know, the trust factor, the transparency, the culture that you're building is just, I see all of this, and you can see that combined with the success that you're having, and there's no doubt in my mind it's because of this that you're having that success.
Yeah, I would say, I'm 67, get closer to 68, but I have no plans to retire because, we have a lot of fun too.
Hmm.
Like it just with the Halloween party and stuff,
Hmm.
it is a culture where you can come in, you can have fun. We work hard, but we work together and we achieve what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I think, other companies, and that's why I thought it was so great to have you on here to talk about this, because I really think if other companies could see this kind of model and see the power that it can bring and how it can transform a company, it's just incredible. So Jim, I really appreciate you being on today with us and sharing just some of the stories and management style that you guys have.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Mike. And if ever I can help you or anybody else, I'm open to doing that. That's how I got started, people helping me.
That's right. Well, thanks again, Jim. And thanks to all our listeners. And like Jim said, if questions or any help ever needed, just reach out and we're happy to talk. And thanks again, everybody.
To learn more about James Moore & Company's manufacturing services, go to jmco.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our More on Manufacturing series to receive updates when new videos and podcasts are released. If you'd like to be a guest, or if there's a topic you'd like to see covered on a future episode, contact us on our website. You can also follow us on social media for more news as the landscape on manufacturing continues to rapidly evolve.